Okay, I'm just going to set some things up here. I have a new setup. I haven't been live in months, and I need to test a few things out. All right, I'm going to try moving my microphone. Let's see how this goes. Okay, well, let's try this out. I'm not sure if anyone's going to join us, join me, that is, but I've got a cup of tea here, some Earl Grey. I'm going to light a candle, smudge some cards, and I'm planning to do just a couple, like maybe 5 at the very most, free readings if folks show up today. And I would understand if they don't, given that I have been off of YouTube for several months now. I have this new deck, which I will show you for anyone who might watch this recording after the fact. This is the Metanoia Marseille 2nd edition in a beautiful box. There we go. And here are the cards. And I got this deck a few weeks ago, and I've used it on my Instagram a little bit, but I don't know. I got the calling this morning. I thought it would be fun to do some live readings again since I haven't done those on YouTube in a while. So let me light a candle. Get that in the frame. And I've got my beaded skull that I got in Mexico earlier this year, beginning of the year, and a couple crystals. Okay, so, oh, hi, I see I've got someone in the chat. King of Pentacles, hello. I'm doing some free readings today. Just little 3-card readings, no big ones at the moment. But if you are interested in having your cards read, I would be happy to do that for you. My name is Will, by the way. I've been away from my YouTube channel for a little while, but decided to pop on and go live this morning. It's helpful to me for those of you who might want to ask questions. If you can give me your pronouns, and if there are any other people involved in the question, if you could give me their pronouns too, that will help me determine significators, and also sort of give me context for the situation. Hello, Wolfie Queen of Pentacles. I can read for you if you would like to put your question in the chat. I have to say, I love these cards that I got. And I'm picky about my cards, as I think many of us are. The images are amazing. I love the artwork. I think they read really well. They don't have nudity, which is great for YouTube. Personally, I'm not bothered at all by that. But you know how YouTube is. And so I like that I can use these cards um, on YouTube too. My only complaint, if I'm going to be picky, is I cannot bridge shuffle them because the paper has a kind of, I think it's called a rose petal finish, which is beautiful because it doesn't reflect the light in a way that's really annoying if you are recording on something like YouTube. But the cards don't sort of slide super smoothly over one another, which just means shuffling is a little more cumbersome than I might like. But that criticism does not detract from how much I love these cards. Okay, so we have a question. And the question is from Wolfie Queen of Pentacles, wants to know if I relocate to a new country in the upcoming year, what might I expect? And Wolfie Queen of Pentacles is also noting that the King of Pentacles is here too, which is an interesting synergy with the username. Yes, I agree. Okay, so I'm doing 3 card readings today. So let me shuffle with your question in mind. If Wolfie Queen of Pentacles relocates to a new country in the next year, what can they expect from that situation? Okay, let's see what we get here. Okay, so the cards up are the 9 of Batons, the Popess, known as the High Priestess in some other decks, like the Rider-Waite-Smith, and the Knight of Swords pops up here as well. The Knight of Swords sort of charging in at the Priestess, the Popess. So, I would expect some really good things, especially involving study or knowledge. Like the first thing that comes to mind is I would wonder whether or not you might be relocating for like school for educational purposes, and that you would be putting in quite a lot of work, effort to do this, but not so much that you couldn't stand it. It's just that you would need to be careful about prioritizing things and not overdoing it, right? That's where I'm seeing with the 9 of Batons. That 9 of Batons is like you're doing about as much work as you can handle, and you need to be careful. You need to be careful of overexerting yourself. And so, a move is difficult for anyone, and so that's sort of not out of the realm of possibility, right? That moving is hard. I guess that's no big surprise to anyone, I wouldn't think. Uh, so it would interrupt your life, obviously, this move, and would require quite a bit of effort on your part to make it happen. But if you did make it happen, uh, you would be sitting there in your throne or chair with a good book in your hand, right? Um, Looking back at everything that you've done, probably pretty satisfied with yourself and feeling like you have a secret or you have new knowledge about the world or your situation that nobody else has, right? Because changing location gives you insight into not only your new geographical location, but also into yourself. And that's a wonderful thing, right? Changing your context can also change how you view yourself. So I would expect this move to give you new secret internal knowledge about who you are as a person. Uh, there is a little something to watch out for here, which is this Knight of Swords. And so I tend to read the swords, especially in the Marseille Tarot, which this is an example of. What do we do with swords? Well, we fight with them, right? They're about protecting, defending, but also attacking. And so, um, whoever this person is riding in on their sword seems like they're kind of out to get you, and you maybe you're not looking in their direction, right? So the Popess is looking over here, and this Knight of Swords is looking at her and riding towards her, and she's sort of not paying attention. And so I would caution you that there could be painful developments that could come as a result of this move. Uh, Not necessarily anything that you couldn't handle, because if we consider the rank of the cards, right, the Popess is like a female pope, right? And a knight coming at her doesn't necessarily or at all outrank her, right? It's not like we've got a king or a queen of swords there. So if we think of it in hierarchical terms, um, the issue is that it's something you don't see coming, not that it's something you can't overcome, if that makes sense. So you didn't ask should you move. You said if you move, what should you expect? And those are the first things that come to mind to sort of summarize that it will be an incredible effort on your part, right? But you will gain knowledge of not only your new geographical location, but also of yourself through this move. However, you need to watch out that an unexpected trouble could be headed your way. And so you'd want to be on the lookout for something like that, right? Like if I could say something to this Popess, I would say, look over your shoulder, right? She's looking in the wrong way, so she doesn't see this guy heading for her. So, if you have any response to that, I would be interested to hear it. And I'll just look at the chat there in case anything comes up. And meanwhile, I'm going to burn a little Palo Santo. Not too much because I don't want my smoke alarm to go off, but just enough to cleanse the space. Yeah, so Wolfie Queen of Pentacles says, I will put my efforts because I want to relocate. Yeah, I mean, seeing the High Priestess here or the Popess as the center card. That's clearly your significator in the spread. And it's a not that there's any exclusively good or bad cards, but it's a good card to see in this particular context, I think. Um, especially if it's if you are searching for something to do with education or spiritual enlightenment, or just knowledge, right? That's a great question. What's at the bottom of the deck? Yeah, let's see what the surprise card is. The Emperor. So if we add this in, especially the way that sort of without intending it, I've kind of upturned it as a fourth card. And so if we read it as a kind of tableau here, this looks like the emperor, this commanding man, right? Whoever he might be, could be like a boss or a landlord or a dean of a school, or it could just be a powerful sort of courageous kind of man that you meet, has troubling intentions right towards you, right? So like we could read this not necessarily as two different people, but this card could be a representative of this person's intentions, right? The emperor sends off his knight with a sword towards the popess, who's sort of just getting herself settled, having done all this work, dealt with all this pressure, put in all this effort to doing her move. So I would watch out for complications or trouble or challenges having to do with a man whose significator would be the emperor, right? A man in power, right? He's strong. He's able to command others, right? He's able to dictate or delegate to others, have others sort of do his bidding, and this person might cause some challenges for you, as represented by that Knight of Swords. Okay, so I hope that reading was helpful. I enjoyed doing it. I wish you the very best of luck with relocating. Watch out for that Emperor and his knight, but just look over your shoulder, right? Embody the Popess, the High Priestess there, but don't focus so much on the effort you're putting into the move that you don't notice if someone is coming at you from another angle. Okay. Good. I'm glad that you will be cautious. Yes, but if you've got that high priestess energy, I love seeing that. Okay, so I saw. Let's see. I think we've got Princess Sophia 444 would like to be added to the list, and just wants to know what is coming towards me. Let me shuffle. So this is a general reading. I'm just doing 3 card readings today. I think we should. Why don't we set a time frame? Should we say in a month? Because otherwise, I like to set a time frame because, then it's like, well, this could be 10 years from now, right? And then it's not really helpful. Well, I guess it might be helpful, but most of us aren't thinking 10 years ahead. I know I'm not. Okay. Okay, so what is coming towards Princess Afia in the next month or so? Okay, we've got the Magician or the Juggler, the Queen of Coins, and Eight Cups. So, uh, my reading the cards tells me I'm picking out the middle card, the Queen of Cups, as your significator. And you have got this coin um, that you're holding up, and you're holding it up to someone represented here by the magician. And whenever I see the magician, I always think of illusions, right? Think about what a magician does. They do tricks, right? And sometimes those can be really fun and entertaining, and they make a spectacle, and we like to look at them. People might even like buy tickets to go see a magician, right? Um, but if we don't know that what we're looking at is an illusion, if it's presented as something true, then we're deceived, and that's a problem. So I see you offering something valuable of yourself to someone who has the ability to deceive, but who also might just be really fun to watch, right? I don't know if you're in a relationship or um, looking for a relationship. And so, when I see then the Eight of Cups here, the first thing I go to is, oh, well, I'm thinking about relationships between people. And so, um, it would be interesting to know. Let's see. I'm just checking the chat. Okay, you're single. Okay, great. That gives me wonderful advice or context. Um, so you might meet an interesting, charming, captivating person at like a social gathering, at like a party, or in some group of people where there's like goodwill and cheer, and maybe people are having drinks or coffee or tea together or whatever, right? Um, and you meet this person and you strike up some sort of conversation, and you are interested in this person, like you're offering your coin, transacting something with them, right? Like even just with words, right? You're like starting a conversation with them, right? And they're interesting and you're captivated and they're fun, uh, which is all wonderful and great. But just like I don't, beware is maybe too strong of a word. Um, this person could be tricky. How about that? This person could be tricky. And so, like, don't immediately trust them. Like, share your words with this person too. That's fine. But like, don't give them any money, for example, right? Like, don't offer them anything so valuable of yourself until you get to know them better, because it's really hard to read the magician, what their intentions are, right? So maybe what I could do is just I'll look at the surprise card and see how that synthesizes the situation. And so, oh, let me get it in the frame. It's the Ace of Batons. So, like, this is an opportunity, maybe an opportunity for growth. If we think of the baton as like a plant, and there's lots of that kind of imagery here in this particular deck. So, this person is offering you an opportunity for growth. Uh, so, look out for them. I would say. Take a peek, see if you can find this magician person who you could start up something potentially valuable with, an opportunity. You're probably going to find them in a group setting where there's other people involved, right? I would like eights, I think, often of communities of some kind, right? Um, so, it could be like a coffee shop where there's lots of cups, or a bar, or someone like a house party or something like that, or a family get together, even something like that. And this is someone who's probably going to captivate your attention. You're going to find them very interesting. But watch out for them too. I'm not saying that they have bad intentions. There's no reason to suggest they have bad intentions. There's no swords, there's no devil, nothing like that showing up. Um, but also, like, don't immediately, naively, innocently trust them. That's what I would say, right? Get to know them first. Okay, let me look at the chat now. You're welcome, Princess Safia. I'd be interested in future if this person shows up, if there's anyone. Yeah, that's exactly it. Good forewarning to vet someone carefully. Exactly, right? Like they're not out to get you, but when I do see that, like, an opportunity for growth can hurt. Like growth can be painful, growth can be challenging, right? So the opportunity for growth could be if you offer of something valuable too quickly to this person, it might sort of sting you, right? And then you would learn and grow, but that doesn't mean it like was good or felt good. Okay, so let me see who we got in the chat here. I saw. So the next person who's asked to be added to the list is Shradak 4752. And then I see Someone Who Loves You. And then earlier, did I miss someone? Oh, Tia Bia. Hi, Will. Is the Pisces coming over tonight to talk? Okay. All right. So, Tia Bia, I think I'll do you first since you were back there. So, is the Pisces coming over tonight to talk? I also find that an interesting question, just because it's concrete. It's in a very specific time frame. It's not esoteric or occult or anything like that. So, okay, let me just shuffle. So you've got the Pope, 5 batons, and the Ace of Batons again. I say again because it appeared in the last reading as the surprise card. Okay, let's take a peek at these. So I don't know that there's a lot of talk happening here. I don't see talk happening. Um, uh, like, w- if I were gonna see the closest thing we have to talk is the Pope card, right? And popes aren't having like conversations with people so much as they're saying, "Here's the way it is, and you can listen to me," right? Uh, these figures down here, they're not conversing with the Pope. They're listening to what the Pope has to say, right? So, uh, and that paired with all of these batons suggests pressure or effort that's being put out, but not necessarily like a back and forth equal kind of conversation, if that makes sense. Uh, so i- are they coming over? I think they might be coming over in the sense that they're making an effort, but are they there to talk? That I'm not like if you mean have a conversation between two equal parties. I don't know that I see that, right? Um, it's like they want someone to listen to them, but I'm not sure that they want like to listen back, if that makes sense. Um, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's sort of, I guess it gets at like what are the connotations of the word talk as you see them. Uh, if you find this person very interesting and like you want to get to know them better um, and sort of follow them, then that's great. But if you're looking to like share things on a more equal footing, the Pope would indicate that that's not, at least initially, what this person's agenda might be. Uh, do I see it going well? Well, I think there's an opportunity. But it wouldn't, so here's how I'd put it. If you do not intervene in some way, if you do not act in a particular way to sort of change the trajectory of how it's going to go, um, I I don't think it's going to go well if what you're looking for is an equal conversation between two people, right? Like I don't know if this is a dating situation or a friendship or some other kind of relationship. But what this would say to me is like, if you put in a fair amount of effort to change the trajectory of where things are set to go, then you'll have an opportunity to focus things in a way that could be beneficial to you, right? More beneficial than they would otherwise have been. Okay. Dating situation, Tia says it's a dating situation. Um, yeah. Okay. So if it's a dating situation, then one other thing that I would think about, and I don't know you, and like we don't know each other. We're perfect strangers, more or less. But and so I don't want to be weird. But when I see the Ace of Batons, I might also think of a sexual relationship. I don't know if that's on the table or even something to consider at all. Um, but you asked, like, is this person coming over to talk? And I would say, I don't think conversing is their main objective, if that might make any sense. You know, when we think about the different suits of the Marseille Tarot, I would associate If we were looking for talking, I'd look for coins because I would associate that with the nervous system, and it's talking and thoughts, right? At least in my interpretation of the Marseille Tarot. If I were using a different deck, it would be different. And I would associate batons more with like the work of the body and the muscles, right? So like something more physical as opposed to intellectual. Oops. Uh, so are they coming over? I think they very well could be coming over, but it's more to like have you listen and then maybe also something more physical as opposed to intellectual might be on their mind. Uh, but that doesn't mean you couldn't intervene to make things go a different direction, especially if you have this sort of foresight of it. You could set things up in such a way that the situation is more conducive to an equal conversation. Let's look at the surprise card. It's the Queen of Batons. And so I would think that is your significator. And I think that's reinforcing this idea that you um, have some work to do, right? I associate batons with effort, with work, with like you gotta get your hands dirty, sort of, right? Go out there and build something, do something with those batons. And so I would interpret this as when this person does come over, like for example, if they are talking, or trying to pressure in any way, that you should be prepared for that, right? Like you have an agenda, you have things you want to say, you have questions you want to ask this person. Don't let them sort of overpower the conversation. Unless you're okay with that. Like I don't know what you're looking for exactly. I guess I'm making an assumption that I think is implied in your question, which is like, are they coming over to talk? That means you want to have a conversation where the two of you both get to know each other better, as opposed to like you just listen to him talk about his life, right? So I hope that's helpful, Tia Bia. Um, yeah, you're welcome for the heads up. I hope it goes well. I guess one other thing I would add is like, while this like it could be that this person is nervous. Sometimes that's what happens when people are nervous in situations like this and dating situations. People often get nervous. They might just like overpower the conversation because they think, well, if I just fill up all the awkward silence, then it won't be awkward anymore. And so it doesn't mean this person has bad intentions. Like there's no swords here. There's no reason to suggest there's no like devil, there's no tower, there's no death, right? It's not like they have bad intentions. It's just that um, they might be sort of overpowering the situation. He gets really nervous. Yeah. So if he gets really nervous, he might just talk, and like you can then intervene there and I don't know, put on some music in the background. So maybe when there are silences, no one feels pressured like they have to talk, or put on a TV show or something, right? That's like that you don't have to think about too much, that can just like be in the background to fill in any awkward silences. Um, and then I think if you intervene in that way, you'll have more of an opportunity to turn it into a back and forth conversation as opposed to like awkward silences filled with him nervously chatting away. Okay, so let me scroll up in my list here and see. I think someone who loves you was next. So, someone who loves you, you're welcome, Tiabia. If someone who loves you is here, I can read for you. I'm just looking for your question. And I don't see one. So if you can post it right away, I'll read for you. Otherwise, I'm going to go on to the next person. which I think is, let's see. Why don't Shradek, are you here? Shradek 4752. I see the question from Anjali D. Silva about applying for jobs, and whether it's going to be Ireland, the UK, or Australia. And so today I'm just doing 3 card readings, and I would need more cards than that to answer that particular question. So I could do a more general reading for Anjali D. Silva, just about like, how's the job search going to go, or how can you best prepare for the job search? Okay, I see Shradek's question, so I'm going to answer Shradek's question, which is about a future spouse. Oh, okay, wait. I'm checking the chat. So someone who loves you is here. Shradek, if you're here, could you tell me your pronouns and the pronouns of your likely future spouse? Like, are you he or she, and do you think your spouse would be he or she? And so while we're waiting for Shradek, if you could tell me that in the chat, I'll do someone who loves you's question, who wants to know, can you please tell me what it would be like if C and I were to actually meet in person? Okay, so then okay. I wish I had one person who could like moderate the chat while I could like shuffle the cards and everything, but alas, it's just me. Okay, so C is a he, and someone who loves you is a she. Okay, so I'm going to do someone who loves you, and then I'm going to do Shradek. Okay, so I'm shuffling for someone who loves you, who wants to know, please tell me what it would be like if C and I were to actually meet in person. Okay, let's see. If you were to actually meet in person, 8 batons, King of Swords, and the Emperor. Interesting. Very interesting cards. So we've got 2 people cards, King of Swords and the Emperor. And in the situation, we've got only 2 people, unless there's more context I don't know of. We've got our querent, someone who loves you, and we've got this guy C. And so looking at the picture cards, unless we have any reason to read a third person, another guy, into this situation, I would read this as he will put down his sword and get more comfortable. So here he is in one image. He's holding a sword up, like there's something he feels nervous about, defensive about. He needs to be protecting himself. He's maybe a little rough around the edges, right? But he transforms after you meet in person. He transforms his sword into a scepter, that is more like able to, um, well, the emperor is known as someone who's courageous, he's commanding, he delegates, he's powerful, right? And so you always want to watch out with an emperor that they don't overpower you, right? But the other great thing about the emperor is when problems come up, they can solve those problems, right? Like if you if you get stuck somewhere, right, they can find a way to get you unstuck. So I would say he softens while still maintaining his power. And in this particular deck, he's got a more comfortable chair, right? This chair turns into this more like plushy, taller backed chair, which looks to me more comfortable. So I think he'd be more comfortable with himself as well. The other thing to consider is that his emblem appears, right? Like here, there is no emblem, and here there is an emblem. So it's like if you were to meet, he would um, show himself to you, right? Like this is his emblem that represents who he really is, right? It's his crest, it's his insignia that he displays publicly, right? You don't see it yet, but if you were to meet in person, you'd sort of get to know more about what he really represents as a person. I haven't talked about this card at all. So, eight, right? Yes, eight batons means there would obviously be some effort that would need to go into this, right? Like you might need to fly or take a train or like move through space and time to see this person. And um, so I mean, I also get that just from the context of the question. Like, if it were easy for you to see each other in person, you would have done it already. I think probably. So you'll have to put in effort. You'll have to put in work to do it, but it would pay off. Like my short answer to your question is, I think it would definitely pay off because he will seem like a slightly different person, but like I think a better one. The King of Swords, that he's got that sword drawn, like it's hard to get to know someone when they've got a sword drawn, right? But if instead he's relaxing comfortably and he's got a scepter instead of a sword, and you can read him better because he's got this insignia that he's displaying publicly, you can read it and see, what does it mean? Like you can start thinking about what does his emblem mean, right? Then you could get to know him better. So it would take a fair amount of effort to make it happen. But he would seem like a different person in a good way, in a better way, in an improved way in the event that you were to meet. I'm just reading the chat here. Tricky energies to read. C pops up as the Emperor like all the time. He is defensive at this stage. It's been hard work, and I feel it would change when he meets me in person because I'm lovely. I'm sure you are. So then, why don't I look at the surprise card and let's see if that tells us any more about the situation. Ooh. So the surprise card is death, which does change things a bit. Uh, not all emperors are good, and death's not always bad, right? We know that. But death does often mean like putting an end to something. Um, more sort of optimistic versions or interpretations of the card will think of it in terms of transformation or change. And so that would confirm like it could be the death of his old self, right? The death of this self that's maybe partially imagined or projected because you haven't met him in person, right? And then the birth of his new, more authentic and accurate self, where you have a better sense of who he is, because there's all kinds of information that we get about people when we meet them in person as opposed to when we're at a distance, right? Um, but so like that would be the optimistic viewing of this card. But of course, I want to say like don't get cut, right? So um, don't let yourself get hurt by this person. Um, I would say like if we follow this through to the end, or rather, if you follow this through to the end, it seems like the best thing to do. Like, I don't think if I see the death card, I don't think, "Oh, don't do it, don't meet him." Right? Because that doesn't make any sense. Like, if meeting him is going to result in the inevitable end of the relationship, which I hope it doesn't, but if it is, then you have to go through that, right? You can't just never meet this person and then never and then the relationship is just always in limbo, right? Like that doesn't really make sense either. Um, uh, and so meeting this person could just mean it's not an end to the relationship, but it's an end to who you thought he was, and now you have a better sense of who he actually is. So I hope that's helpful. Would it be rude to peek at what's under death? It wouldn't be rude, but I don't um I don't know that adding more cards is necessarily going to make it clearer. Like if I were going to keep going, I think I would cast the cards for a larger spread, if that makes sense. The other reason, so what I was going to say is the other thing is if there's a card, let's do it. Because I'm wondering what death is looking at, right? So, strength. It's the force card or strength. Um, hmm. And so here it's like, I would read this as you, whoops, you and him. If in the event that you meet in person, you will no longer sort of have your arm around him like he's a big cuddly lion. It's a very nice looking lion here. Um, it's like meeting him in person will cut away. I wonder if this is almost like if this is the projection, right? Like the way you think he is. You think he's a lion, but he's not. He's an emperor. And so meeting him in person will cut away. I say that because the scythe is pointing at force, right? Will cut away, get rid of, take away um, this idea that you are in a relationship with like, oh, he's a Leo. Okay. He's a Leo who's been holding back a lot. Yeah. Um, very interesting. He's a Leo who, yeah. Uh, I mean, I think that what would probably happen is some of your illusions, imaginings, projections that we all are doing all the time and that we all are absolutely doing with people that we haven't met in person. Like I'm doing it with all of you right now. I can't help it. It's just like part of how the human mind works. Um, that those would get cut away, right? And you'd get a better sense of who this person really is for the good and the bad. But I think probably, your question is certainly from your perspective, but I think something similar would happen from his perspective 2, which is why back to the Emperor, which is now the center of this 5-card spread, the Emperor would get to show more like who he really is, right? Like, you could also read this as a shield, but he's not holding it up. Like, he's put his shield down, right? He's like, his defensiveness goes away. So he's not a lion anymore. He gets to be a more like authentic person. Yeah, if you've been imagining he's like your spirit animal, I think that would go away. You'd see him more as a real person, right? Uh, and he also would see you more as a real person. His projections, his fantasies about you would also drop away, which I think means he can lower his defenses a bit, put down his sword, and um, relax a little bit more, right? Okay, cool. That was a fun one. So I said I was going to do Shraddok next, and I think that might be my last one for today. I've been great. Shraddok had asked how I've been. I haven't been live in months. I've been really good. I've been really, really busy with work, my day job, and I have been doing readings for myself. I've been journaling a lot with the tarot. I've been studying a lot, but I haven't done any live readings lately. But this morning I decided to pop on. I can't stay on long because I have work that I need to do. Um, but I'm going to try to make an effort. I've got a new setup, as you can see, and I'm going to try to make an effort to come on more than I have in the past, although I may not have time right now to do 2 or 3 hour-long live sessions like I used to do over the summer. So let me find Shraddok's question. Let's see. I know it's here somewhere. Shraddok. Here it is. Anything? Oh, that's right. Future spouse. Okay. All right. All right, let's look. Shraddok's future spouse. Anything they should know about their future spouse? Okay, we have Justice, the Ace of Swords, and the 4 of Batons. Okay, so what you should know about your future spouse. They are they have a method. They have a way of doing things. They're very careful. They're a thinker. Uh, Justice deliberates. They're not the kind of person who acts immediately. They can be very slow to act, right? But they get the right answer to the question. This is a person also who's not just willing to think about like what is the right thing to do, but who's ready to fight for it and defend it. That's Ace of Swords here, right? Like when it is time to think and deliberate, this person will use their scales, right? They will weigh things, will consider evidence, they will think. It will go very slowly, right? But there's also a time when this person drops the scales and says, nope, right now, I just need the sword. I don't need the scales to deal with this current situation, right? Like, this is a person who can understand when it's time to use reason with a problem, right? Like whether it's a person or an enemy or a challenge or whatever it might be, when to use their reason. But they also understand like when reason isn't going to work so well as a sword is going to work. And so they will pull that sword as well. So it could be someone who is an intellectual of some kind, particularly like if they're involved with the law, of course, that comes to mind. Like they could be a lawyer, they could be a judge, they could be even um, like a paralegal or something of that nature. But it could also be someone who isn't necessarily connected with the law, which is the most obvious thing with justice, but someone who measures, right? Someone who weighs things, right? With those scales, like someone whose job it is to consider different decisions or different possibilities, different kinds of evidence, and then um, make make a ruling, right? Who they have some capacity to kind of judge here, right? Like I've got a friend who works in an HR department, and she does basically that, right? She considers appeals for people who've been denied jobs. That people can appeal, and then she reads the evidence, and then she makes a ruling and moves it on forward. So it doesn't have to be necessarily someone connected with the law, but it's someone who's thinking, right? Someone who's thinking for a living. Um, and weighing evidence and making decisions based upon that evidence. It's also someone who knows how, as I said, who knows how to fight, including to protect. And with the Four of Batons, someone who has a stable career situation. I would read the batons here in terms of career, um, but it could be also someone who's maybe at a stalemate with their career, like, it's stable, yes, and that's great, but also there might be a sense that they want more and can't get it, right? Like, almost maybe they're bored with it. Um, it's stable, and that's nice, right? We all, or most of us, probably want some kind of stability with our work situation, uh, but they might be in a position where it's hard for them to advance further, if that makes like maybe they've been waiting on this promotion for a long time and it's just not coming, and that's something that maybe they're preoccupied with or bothered with. Let's take a peek at the surprise card. It's 8 coins is a surprise card, and so here I would think possibly someone who works at a bank. 8 coins is like a community of people that have to do with money. So a bank, a financial firm, something like that. Could also be a community of people who, because I associate coins with the nervous system and therefore communicating and talking and thinking, it could be a community of people um, that are like intellectual in some way, right? That are using their minds a lot. So that brings me back to law. It also makes me think potentially of like a school, even like a university where like lots of people are getting together and they're conversing and they're thinking together. Probably also this person is organized. There's a uniformity to their life. They may not be super exciting. They may not be a super exciting person, uh, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, depending on your personality and like I'm a Taurus. I don't need exciting. I want stability, right? So like this sounds pretty good to me, but it would sort of depend on what your dispositions are and what you like. But the 8 coins, they're arranged very neatly with one another. Everything is just so. Things are put where they're supposed to be. There's no holes. There's no odd numbers sort of sneaking in. So this person is fastidious and uniform and likes things a certain way, and probably doesn't have any trouble with their financial situation either. Right? 8 coins is it's not 10 coins, but it's quite a few coins. So, Shraddock, I hope that gives you some things to think about for a potential spouse in the future. And I see lots of folks in the chat, which I'm very glad of. Hi, everybody. My name's Will, and I've been doing some free live tarot readings here today. My channel's, oh, I'm not sure. I think I started it like last spring. I've been away from it for a couple of months, but I'm trying to find the time in my busy life to bring it back. Um, so I've been going for over an hour here, and I do need to get to other things. I need to think about my work, and so I'm not going to be able to take more today. But I'm planning, and I hope it's not an overly optimistic plan that I'll be going live with more regularity than I have been in the past. I've been away from it for a few months, but I've got a new setup at home, and I was compelled this morning to jump on and do some readings, and oh, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I thank you to those of you who let me read for you. I really appreciate it. If you consider subscribing to the channel, you'll be able to tell when I am live, um, and and that's going to do it for today. So thanks for those of you who let me read for you. I enjoyed doing it. Someone who loves you wants to know if I take personal readings. I I would consider it. Yeah. Um, I won't. I'm not at a place for complicated reasons. I'm not charging. I wouldn't charge for readings. And so the trick with doing free personal readings is like it can get out of control if you're not charging. That people could they want a free personal reading every day. So I would say I would be willing to do like one. I would be willing to do one personal reading. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of how I would facilitate that. Um, let me pull up. I have, okay. I'm going to put an email address in the chat. Okay, it's tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com. Let me just make sure I spelled it right. Yeah, that looks right. And so, yeah, if you shoot me an email, um, I would be down for that. Yeah, like send me an email with the context, with the question, and then based on what the question is, I'll see like, is this a 3 card, 5 card, 7 card, 9 card box? Like what maybe would make the most sense? And then what I might like is, would it be cool if I had permission, if I were to record a video of it, if I could just upload it publicly onto my channel? So like obviously it would be anonymous. I wouldn't say who it was, but that's something we could discuss in email. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks everyone who let me read for them, and this was lots of fun. I enjoyed doing it. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I will see you all next time, which I will try to make sooner than several months away. Maybe I'll try to even go live again later this week. All right, bye everybody. Have a great day. Bye.